Angry Chicken 240 records live in 3, 2, 1. The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Welcome back, everybody, and happy Kobolds and Catacombs release week. The Angry Chicken is here. We're back 2 episodes back-to-back. If you're listening to it on the audio format, we totally didn't do this back-to-back live, and I'm not sweating because these lights have been on for too long. And I'm also not popping lozenges like an old lady with butterscotch in her purse. Hi, I'm Garrett Weinzerl. He's Willie Dills Gregory. She's Jocelyn Moffat. And we're here to wrap it up. We are here to, I believe, talk about the most cards ever in a single episode of The Angry Chicken.
Yay!
Oh, wow. How many do we have? Oh, we got 40-something?
43.
Oh, God. All right. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's go!
Yep. 43 cards in total. So let's get right into it. We're doing the class cards to wrap up Kobolds and Catacombs card talk. Ixlid Fungal Lord is here. It's a 5-mana, 2/4 legendary druid elemental minion. A lot of things to say. And what's legendary about Ixlid? Well, after you play a minion, summon a copy of it. It's pretty special to me.
We saw this one on stream, and it was more powerful than I thought it was going to be. I'm just kind of like, oh, 5-mana, 2/4.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this type of effect with, in a way, kind of like, you know, what was the Umbra Spirit Singer Umbra? That would, when you play the minion, it would automatically, like, do the death rattle and that kind of stuff. But here, it's like any minion, and you just get another one right away. That seems like it has a little, it's got a lot more possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
there's definitely some interesting things that can be done here.
Yeah, the only thing you miss out on are battle cries. So you won't get double battle cries, but you get, like,
Well, you get the first battle cry.
Well, yeah, you get the first battle cry, but you don't double your battle cries. But you double your death rattles, your end of turn effects, your everything. So yeah, I think it's actually pretty powerful. Seems good.
I'm thinking maybe you could do some sort of a miracle druid with arcane giants, and that might be pretty strong here because
That's gross, Dills. I can't believe you just said that out loud.
or if it lives a turn, suddenly you play like 2 auctioneers, and there's definitely cool stuff here. That being said, a 5-mana 2/4 sucks, so you better get you better take advantage of its ability right away, right?
Yeah.
And
this
that's
is
always the issue with cards like this.
Yeah, this is a late game card, which for Druid usually comes a lot earlier in the game than most classes late game. So, playable for sure.
Yeah, it's got some stuff in there, and like you said, Joce, on the stream it actually was pretty good. But you always have to be a little careful judging cards based on that stream because they're playing all the new cards against each other. Yeah.
And that,
like, sometimes their decks aren't that good.
That one specifically, last episode, Dills, you were just like, oh man, Ben Brode was me watching Day 9 streams, and I was just like, oh, I love Day 9 stream. I kind of enjoy the fact that I'm sitting there being like, oh, that's the wrong thing to do. This was the one time during the whole stream I was just screaming at Day 9, just like, that Ixlid was just sitting there on board forever. Reels, who was his opponent, was clearly just being nice and letting it live so they could see the silly things that happens with Ixlid. That is never going to happen. That's not going to happen in an actual game of Hearthstone. When Ixlid comes down, you're going to have to get value out of it the same turn, because if your opponent has any way of dealing with it, they are going to, because the value play beyond living one turn is terrifying.
Yeah. But it's really easy to kill, too, is the problem. It's like 4 health is not a lot.
Right.
So.
Right. So, man, I really wanted to see that second Ixlid come down to make a copy of the Ixlid, and it never happened yesterday. It never happened, Day 9. Never happened.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah. Astral Tiger is up next. It's a 4-mana, 3/5 epic Druid card, Druid minion, with a death rattle that reads, shuffle a copy of this minion into your deck. So if you're, say you're running a card that recruits minions that cost 4 or less, and you want to keep doing that, Astral Tiger's got your back.
Yeah, we saw a disgusting amount of Astral Tigers on the stream. I'm just like, oh my god, they never go away. At least they don't grow every time.
True, but this was, to me, the card that was kind of like we hadn't seen yet. That when we saw these other cards that said recruit things that cost 4 or less, I was thinking, yeah, they got to be something that costs just 4, right? Because that's the best way to take advantage of this. And I'm thinking about, Taz Dingo and all these like options, Yetis and stuff like that kind of stuff. But here now we've got basically, because the problem with recruiting is that sometimes you pull all your minions out and then you got no more minions to recruit. And then you draw that recruit card and it sucks.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you'll never run out of minions to recruit. Not to mention the fact that if you do play N'Zoth, you're also bringing back a whole bunch of Astral Tigers at that point. And so, yeah.
And Guardians, because assuming you're going to play the Guardian, which is the one that
the Grizzled Guardian,
recruits the 4 or less minions, then if you're doing that, you're bringing back all this death rattle value. It just, oh god, it goes on forever.
And to remind our listeners at home, the Grizzled Guardian doesn't recruit 1, but recruits 2 minions that cost 4 or less. Again, it's on a death rattle. It's not a battle cry, so your opponent has some control over this. Same thing with the Astral Tiger. They could silence it or shapeshift it so that an Astral Tiger doesn't get thrown back in your deck, but it's in the epic slot, so you can have 2 of these.
Now, I will say, I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, why does Druid need another anti-fatigue thing? I'm glad they gave it to Druid and not like now there's 5 classes that have a bunch of anti-fatigue things. Like, just have it be the Druid's thing, right? That they can't fatigue. That's okay with me. Like, I don't want every class to have that. Like, it feels to me now like something that Druid can do is never fatigue. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying the same thing about Mage, except mine is when is Mage ever going to be able to die? Because we're going to talk about some cards today that just
that's their thing. They never die.
Give them so much potential life. So I don't see it as any different. There's multiple classes with some severe long game now in Hearthstone, and I don't see this as any different. Let's talk about Greedy Sprite next. Super greedy. It's a 3-mana, 3/1 rare Druid minion with a death rattle that reads gain an empty mana crystal.
All right. More ramp.
More mana.
I mean, this is if you're trying to play Big Druid, you play Greedy Sprites, right? Because the whole point is I need to ramp up, and then once Jade Blossom rotates out, you still have a 3-mana option. So, yeah, this will be a good card in Big Druid for sure.
So, is it a good card right now, or do you still Jade Blossom until the new?
Oh yeah,
rotation?
It's a good card right now. Yeah, you play both of them. Like, it's so key to ramp up, right? If you're playing that deck, so you just put as many ways you can into the deck.
So do you still play the Guardian and the Sprite in the same deck? Or is this something where, like, if you're playing Guardians, the only drops you want are the 4-drop Astral Tigers, and you don't play the Sprite?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to play...
You still
if I'm
play
playing
them
a
regardless?
recruit deck, I'm not necessarily ramping in that deck. If I'm playing Big Druid, I'm not playing Astral Tiger or Grizzled Guardian. I'm playing just...
So two different decks.
Yeah, two different decks. I'm playing all the 10 drops and stuff. I'm not recruiting stuff in that deck.
So basically, Druid has Jade for another few months, plus Big, plus Beast,
now we're recruiting
aggro-y, plus recruiting. So there's basically like 4
plus
different ways. Yeah, well, yeah, aggro beastie was one of them. So they've got like 4 different ways they can play right now. So seems good, Druid. Seems good.
I can only hope for the same for every class, except Priest. I'm just straight up scared of Priest. I'm just straight up scared. Ironwood Golem is up next. A 4-mana 3/6 common Druid minion. I don't know why. It's almost like I've talked about too many cards now. Ironwood Golem also has taunt and can only attack if you have 3 or more armor. But we'd like to remind you, if you want to upgrade your Jasper Spellstone, you want to be gaining 3 armor at a time to do so. So this is kind of in line with kind of a mini theme they are pushing with this expansion.
Well, and actually they clarified on the stream you don't need to gain the 3 armor all at once. You can, the card actually changes. So if you, for instance, use your hero power, then it will say gain 2 armor to upgrade. So
you don't have to do it all in one turn.
You don't have to do it all at once.
For Jasper Spellstone, Ironwood Golem, you need to currently have 3 or more armor for it to attack if you drop below. Yes, that's a cool thing, by the way. Again, talking about the Spellstone, not the Ironwood Golem, is just these cards where the text updates as you play. It's a really nice little touch for Hearthstone.
There's a couple weird things about this card. You get only 1 more health over a Taz Dingo, and you have this fairly large drawback in that you better have 3 armor, right? So you probably have to build a deck that is able to gain armor pretty regularly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I saw on the stream that they played this in this recruit deck, and that probably would be the place you play it because the Oaken Summons kind of fills out its requirement as you're bringing it out, right? So that's pretty good, but it's like, I don't know if 3/6 is good enough to ever play it in any deck except that specific deck, right?
I think it's and I think it's especially hard in a world where Tar Creeper has been around all year.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I would just rather play Tar Creeper if I'm just trying to get a defensive option out there, right? So probably only in one specific deck, and if that deck is not good, probably doesn't get played at all, ever.
Kind of important. Oaken Summons is up next. This is a 4-mana common druid spell, and when you cast it, you will gain 6 armor and recruit a minion that costs 4 or less. You're going to recruit your tiger. That's what you're going to recruit.
Well, yeah.
You want your tiger or this guy?
Yeah, your same recruiting conditions as your what's-his-face dude, your guardian, right? So it makes it easier to build that specific deck because you're not having to try to meet many different types of recruiting conditions. You know that your recruit condition is always the same, so you need your 4-mana minions and nothing else, and then you can build the rest of your deck however you want it. So I think it's good that it's fulfilling the same conditions. It could be all right. I think this recruit deck is going to be viable.
If you're playing a recruit deck, then you're playing this, and you're playing the Golem, and you're playing the Tiger, and you're playing the Grizzly Guardian. Like, they all go together pretty well. But if that deck sucks, then it's just none of these cards ever see play. Yeah. It's like it only goes in one kind of deck, and that deck has to be competitive for any of these to work, right? None of them work on their own.
Yeah.
No, these are all tools for something that has not existed before. Barkskin, final druid card. 1 mana, common druid spell. Give a minion +3 health, gain 3 armor.
I think Earthen Scales is still way better, but like I was talking about with that miracle druid thing, maybe that you're doing Ixalan and playing lots of arcane giants and stuff. It's just another cheap spell to cycle with your gadget sands. So
and it'll upgrade your spellstone. It'll upgrade your spellstone, right? Yeah. So then your spellstone again is another super cheap spell. So I think there's something there with the whole auctioneer thing, miracleness.
I mean, I saw Firebat was playing a Miracle Druid like a week ago, and it was fine. It kind of worked. Like he was playing, it was the weirdest deck because he's playing Arcane Giants. And he's playing 1 Jade Idol, and like he just basically shuffles the first one, and then eventually like draws into a bunch of them, But it was pretty decent, and here's a few more tools for it, including Ixalan as well. Like there's something there, I think. And this card is probably only really good in that type of deck. It's like the 3 health. I don't know if it really matters, and you never gain more than 3 armor. Like Earthen Scales can gain you like 10 armor or something like that. Right. So, but still, it's just the cheap spell part of it is the important thing here.
Yeah.
So overall, now that we've seen all of the cards for Druid, how do you feel Druid is going to fare in this next expansion?
They're going to be top tier.
Yeah, me too. I think that's where they're going to fall as well.
And it's not necessarily all because of these new cards. It's just because they're already top tier, and then a couple of these cards are okay.
Yeah, that's where my head is at. I'm undecided on recruit, but I think their existing archetypes are going to do just fine, and they're going to include some of these cards. All right, on to Hunter, which I think all of us here are hoping to see a kind of a big boost with Kobolds and Catacombs. We finally got to see their legendary weapon, Rock Dalar, a 7-mana, 4-attack, 2 durability legendary weapon with a battle cry that reads, if your deck has no minions, fill your hand with Hunter spells. And this is, just if for whatever reason you haven't seen the other cards, this is not the only card that has that no minions text on it for Hunter.
Right. I do have one nit to pick with this card, though. Rock Dalar is such an orc sounding name, and this bow looks elven. Come
It
on,
does.
where are my spikes and bones and furs on my bow?
I agree, except for the arrow. This arrow looks like it was made by an orc, but it's being strung in a clearly elven bow. I don't understand what's happening here.
And it's being pulled back by what looks like nothing.
Yeah. By magic. Dills, by magic.
I mean,
If you
most
saw the golden version, there's like that top arrow is like shooting by and stuff like that. So there's some sort of mystical thing where they're just bows shooting with no hunters pulling them back. I don't know. The bow hunts alone, I guess.
it's
Yeah.
it's on brand. All modern Hearthstone weapons are just the weapon alone by itself. Eaglehorn bows being held, but that's because they were recycling art that already existed.
Right.
But yeah,
That's true. Candle shot is also just a floating bow being pulled
Yep.
back. So whatever.
yeah, it
It's
is.
their thing, I guess.
So technically, Raven in chat is right. It is from World of Warcraft. It was, I think, a vanilla item, and it looks very much like the vanilla item you could get in World of Warcraft. It's
It does.
the longbow of the ancient keepers. But yeah, it sounds like it's an orc type weapon. So maybe that's just Warcraft's fault for naming it wrong in the first place.
It's the rock. Dalar sounds elven, but rock
Yeah.
is just it's so aggressive that it makes it sound.
I feel like,
orcan.
yeah, and something about the
But-
apostrophe too just feels so orcish to me.
At some point we should start talking about the cards, but you're dragging me
Yes,
back into
sure.
this that Kael'thas, a prominent elven figure, has a apostrophe in his name.
True.
Yeah, apostrophes aren't only orcish, right? Other people can use those.
No.
They're
Anyway,
allowed.
anyways, what do we think of the actual cards? So 7 mana is going to get you a 4 attack weapon that you can swing with twice. That's not what you're excited about here. If you're playing this, you're mostly playing it for the battle cry, which if you have no minions in your deck, you get to fill your hand with hunter spells. This is such a brave new world.
Okay. A 7 mana 4/2 weapon sucks. A deck with no
Especially
minions
when
in it
True Silver
probably
exists.
sucks. But once all those things are out of the way, drawing a whole bunch of hunter spells is probably usually pretty good. The problem is it costs 7, so you often won't also be able to cast many of them the same time. And yeah, hunter spells aren't
Unless
like
you're
it's not-
delaying
It's not,
the
saying
collecting
fill your hand with
right?
mage spells. It's still hunter spells. So this deck is gonna be super fun to play with, but I do not see it being. This is like tier 5, probably. This deck.
Yeah, because we didn't even get any like ridiculously awesome hunter spells, right? Like Wandering Monsters pretty
Flanking
okay.
Strike.
Like Flanking Strike, but I don't know. It's still not mage spells.
Look, filling your hand with cards though is not terrible. It's not at all. And if this deck is good, this is one of the reasons why it's good. Is the ability to play a whole bunch of spells and then refill your whole hand with spells and stuff like that.
I feel like in Wild, this could be awesome with Lock and Load, right? Like that's
With
the
Lock
kind
and
of
Load,
thing
sure.
I want to go
Yeah.
Lock and Load Hunter, but
And then
also
you
with
just
no
never
minions.
run out of spells?
Yeah, exactly. I think that could be really awesome. I just don't know how well this is going to do in Standard.
Mm-hmm. Now we did see that this deck won on the stream, but against another like all the new cards Mimi style deck. So
Yeah.
Once the community gets their hands on these cards and they just don't play all the new cards and they only just make really top tier decks out of everything, I don't think this will be very good. But I'm going to play the hell out of this early on and give it a shot because it seems super fun at least. No matter what, no matter how good it is, it seems super fun.
The
So.
thing about this whole idea with Hunter is it's totally new. Hunter for the entire history of Hearthstone has been all about your beast, right? So this is very much almost like reminds me of like Marksman Hunter in World of Warcraft, where like you don't even have a pet. All you're doing is, all your different types of shots and things and your weapons. So I feel like it has a lot of really good flavor that we haven't seen for Hunter before. So I hope it's viable. I hope it's fun. Even if it is the lock and load variant that I think is going to be over in Wild, I still want to see them play around with this idea and take classes into totally new areas that they haven't explored before. And making a hunter with no minions is really, really out of the box.
It is interesting. The problem is they only gave it 2 cards.
Yes.
this whole new archetype got 2 cards. And if you look at like
Unless
this
you count Yogg as a card that would also fit in this deck.
You can. It's a minion. That's it. Can't put
Oh, yeah,
Yogg in
that's
it.
true.
So
Damn.
yeah. Yogg isn't just a collection of spells. There's a body attached to that.
Well, you're just hoping you draw him, and it's not in your deck.
I was gonna say,
You
it
just
does
draw
say
him?
if
Okay.
Yeah,
so
if
let's
your
talk about
deck
all
has
the
no
decks
minion.
that were Reno decks that had 2 copies of something that all made it into the tier 1 meta.
Oh, Dills, you're killing my fun.
All right.
Just mulligan for your 10 drop. What's the problem?
Yes to everything you both just said. I think this is. I think this is leading a bit. I think they're telling us to go long. I think they're telling us to wait for more tools down the road, or not. It doesn't even have to be more tools. There just needs to be more hunter spells. Period. So if we get more hunter spells that are good, it helps kind of fill out your minionless deck.
Well, the thing that really sucks about that is that we're in the last expansion now of the Year of the Mammoth, right? So even if we do get more cards to support this archetype in the future, it's going to basically probably be a wild-only kind of archetype because these cards, Rockdalar and To My Side, which I don't think we've actually talked about yet, they're going to rotate before any support cards rotate, right? So you're going to have this really weird, like, amount of time where this is viable for a couple of months, maybe like 6 to 8 months potentially, and then it's going to rotate, and then it's going to only be wild. So if they were going to go, hardcore into this whole no minion hunter deck, then I wish that they had just given us more tools all at once.
Yeah, like I want like
so
one more card in this set for it, right? Because 2 cards is like, I don't know, it's like not quite enough. And yes, there are some decent hunter spells out there, but there's not that many of them.
We got spells, right? But we didn't get anything super powerful that had this very, very specific no minion condition.
Yeah. But like they need to be like extra powerful too for what they do. And like yes, there are some good, like Raven in chat right now is pointing out some very good spells, but we got to put 30 of them into our deck. Like 5 really good spells that's not 30. That's like 10. You still got to put in 20 more. So that's the issue there. And I just don't think that there's enough support yet. And even if they do, like you said, add more support next time, it'll rotate earlier than it would have before. But that's okay. I mean, that's fine. I'm not upset about that. I do think that this will be a super fun deck and will definitely like win you games sometimes. And it'll be really fun when you win and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm going all in on this, and I'm going to try it, and I'll give it a, I've played plenty of Yogg and Load. I played plenty of Barnes, Yasharaj decks and stuff like that. Like they're there, and they're not as terrible as a lot of people think they are. But when we're trying to say, like, we're just saying not top tier. Like this is probably like mid tier at best.
Well, it's really going to depend on how the early game goes in a lot of cases, right? Because if you can't, like, you have to be able to use your spells to control the board early enough so that you can get to things like your weapons. So you can get to things like Deathstalker Rexar, so that you can use cards like your Spellstone. If you can't get to that point in the game where you're at turn 10 plus, then this just isn't going to be viable. So I'm not sure if Hunter's early control cards are good enough for what at least the current meta. And again, we don't know how this is all going to shake out. We've made this comment across the board with our card review so far that it feels like this set is very slow and there aren't a lot of aggro tools. So if we no longer see things like aggro druid and zoo warlock and all the rest of it, maybe Hunter will be fine, and maybe this
tempo rogue is going to tear this deck apart.
Well, yeah, exactly. Anything that's super aggro or super tempo is really going to rip this apart, and that's unfortunate. So that's the kind of the caveat: is what does the meta look like on Thursday? Is it slow enough to make this Hunter deck viable?
By the way, people in chat were saying just recruit Yogg. Can you guys tell me how you're planning to recruit Yogg? What card are you like all talking about? Put that card in chat for me. This card that recruits Yogg. That's itself not a minion.
I missed that.
And then
but then you don't get the Yogg effect, which then it doesn't work with the spells anyway.
I know. What are you guys talking about?
So then you have to recruit Yogg and then somehow return him to your hand.
They're just messing with me, right? They're just messing with me.
You got to recruit Yogg, and then you got to hope you draw your panda to put it back in your hand.
What are you talking about? Yogg isn't in this deck. Okay.
It's fantastic. So okay, everything you guys just said, but I'm actually rather excited for this. And if this is, as you pointed out, Jocelyn, just for Wild, I'm really down with that because I like Wild, and I would love for some things to be added specifically just to throw Wild into insane turmoil. No.
Well, and the next card too, To My Side, plays into this whole conversation as well, right?
Yeah, I think we've said everything that needs to be said. So for the audio listeners, To My Side is a 6-mana Epic Hunter spell that summons an animal companion or 2 if your deck has no minions. So everything we just said about Raktalar, all of our concerns there, all of our hopes and dreams there, times 2 to My Side.
Except To My Side is too expensive.
So Reddit just went off on this card.
Oh, right? Yeah, they hate this card.
It's the worst thing that's ever happened to Hearthstone, apparently, is that Blizzard potentially printed a bad card. First of all, in this deck, it's not a bad card because Animal Companion is really good. It's like an overpowered 3-drop. So to get 2 of those for 6 is potentially even more overpowered because they actually have synergy with each other sometimes.
Right. Every possible companion you get out of it is an overstated 3-drop.
Yeah, exactly. So this card in this deck is good. It's just it's terrible not in this deck, right?
Yeah.
But you don't put it not in that deck, so who gives a crap, right? Like, why do you care? Why does it like personally insult people when Blizzard prints like bad cards? I don't get it. It's like it's whatever.
Mob mentality.
My issue is that there's just not a third one of these. Like I feel like Raktalar and then this. It's like cool. We just needed one more of these, right?
We needed one more in like the 2 to 4 mana slot.
Sure. Yeah, just some other thing.
Game. Yeah, that was powerful if you met this crazy condition.
Yeah. Maybe it could be a secret that did something so powerful for a secret if you had no minions in your deck, right? And then that could have been sweet. But in this deck, playing 2 Animal Companions for 6 is going to be good. So you'll play Animal Companion, you'll play this, and you'll play Call of the Wild, and every time those come out, those will be some of your best turns in this deck.
Well, that's true. Like Call of the Wild was overpowered at 8, right? They had to
Super
change
overpowered,
it. So yeah, maybe because I was like, I wish this just cost 5, because then that would be great. But 5 would probably have been too much.
Yeah, I was ready to come on the show and really poo-poo these 2 cards, and because of the community reaction, like I all of a sudden feel the need to defend them and really go to bat for these 2 cards because now I want to cheerlead. I want these cards to succeed just because I want Reddit to be so wrong.
Well, this deck is gonna be really fun. Will it succeed is the problem, right?
Yeah.
But these cards are not the issue with this deck. It's just the other 26 spells or whatever that you got to fit in there. Like it's how that's going to be built out that's going to be the issue. But yeah, people went crazy on this card, and it's like, guys, summoning 2 Animal Companions is going to be really good for 6. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about the Spellstone for Hunters. The Lesser Emerald Spellstone starts off, well, it's always going to cost you 5 mana, but it starts off for that 5 mana summoning you 2 3/3 wolves, and you play a secret to upgrade. So this right off the bat isn't terrible for your 5 mana.
Yeah, 6/6 worth of stats for 5. All right.
Yeah. But then if you play a secret, you get to summon 3 3/3 wolves. Then if you play another secret, you get to summon 4 3/3 wolves, and you get to pray to God you're not playing a priest.
Or a warlock.
Or a warlock,
yeah. Or anybody with AoE. But still, even if they AoE this, it's totally fine. If they AoE
still
it,
only invested 1 card.
You only
right?
invested 5. Yeah, you only invested 5 to get 4, and then they had to deal with it. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the better spells that is going to be in this deck, and it might even be good enough that it's in just every hunter deck that runs secrets, right? So
right, it's
this definitely goes in Secret Hunter for sure. And I think there might actually be a Secret Hunter like tempo-y type thing that's pretty viable.
This is going to force you to play more than, because a lot of times we've seen Eagle Horn Bow without secrets, and then we've seen some where they have like Eagle Horn Bow and then maybe like just the freezing traps or just explosive traps or just some trap that they find is valuable for the current meta. This might force every hunter that plays Eagle Horn Bow to also include at least like 4 secrets to make sure they can upgrade this at least once.
Yeah.
And then this card. It's really good.
Yeah. Flanking Strike is next. It's a 4 mana common hunter spell that deals 3 damage to a minion and summons you a 3/3 wolf.
They like the wolves.
This is a good card too. I mean, think about Implosion. Implosion was a card that was always in the meta, and here you kind of you're guaranteeing that you do 3 and you get a 3/3. And there, like, you know, sometimes it was infuriating because you deal 2 and get 2 1/1s, and it's like, this is just, to me, this is the way like that card probably should have been. It's like, do the same thing every time, and this is a really good effect because a lot of times when you're removing something, you're not at the same turn developing, and so with flanking strike, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're doing maybe just a hair less damage than you'd like to be doing for your 4 mana, unless of course you're playing a mage. But yeah, I like flanking strike too.
And it is a spell, right? So it could have been a 3/3 wolf that deals 3 damage as a battle cry, but it's not. So it kind of does support the no minion archetype.
It absolutely supports.
Yeah, there's a 4 mana 3/3 elemental that deals 2. So this is just better than that, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Cave Hydra, we already alluded to, but it's a 3 mana 2/4 common hunter beast that also attacks, also damages the minion next to whomever this attacks.
I don't think you put this in any decks, but I think it's going to be awesome when you get it through Rexar.
Yep.
I think this expansion is like the thing that's going to push any Deathstalker Rexar decks into the forefront because there's a lot of new powerful beasts.
I think when you go through your dungeon run and the final boss is randomized, the hardest final boss is Deathstalker Rexar. He's actually the boss of this expansion. Not King Togwaggle. Candle Shot is our final hunter card. It's a 1 mana, 1 attack, 3 durability common hunter weapon, and you are immune while attacking with it.
It seems pretty effective.
Cool
I don't know if it goes in the constructed decks, but in that 30 spell whatever deck, I mean, you just need more ways to control the board, right? So the fact that you don't take any damage means like you're essentially getting like a mage ping that doesn't go through taunt, but only costs 1 and you get 3 of them. I don't know. That seems pretty solid to me.
Yep.
Ping effects are very good in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I like Candle Shot. Just like the candle theme. They found some artists that know how to draw
arena,
wax.
by the way. There's a lot of talk about this card because of the way it's worded here. It says immune while attacking. So because it's a 7 mana 5 attack weapon that Hunter has, where that one says your hero is immune. I think actually when this card comes out, it's going to say your hero is immune, but because apparently there's like a French version of it that translates to your hero is immune. And this one just says immune while attacking. So this might just be somebody's translation. I don't know. But it is your hero is immune is what is happening here. Not the weapon doesn't lose charges, which is what some people think it means.
Gotcha.
That is totally not what I thought it meant.
I know, I immediately.
But now that you've pointed it out, now that you've pointed it out, I'm like, huh.
It is weird that
always have this.
Yeah, different text than that other card. So
the D Chai guy brings up a good point. Does this make you want to start running pirates, weapon buffing pirates in your hunter?
Nah,
probably not. But if there was a possibility for it, then yeah, this would be a card that could do that.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to Mage and talk about their legendary minion, Dragon Caller Alana. No Archer references. 9 mana, 3/3 legendary mage minion with a battle cry that summons a 5/5 dragon for each spell you cast this game that costs 5 or more.
Expensive spell mage. It's gonna be so fun.
It could be a really good deck because we got a new AoE as well. Obviously in the stream, they were playing Deck of Wonders, which probably doesn't get played in this deck for reals. But yeah, like this is kind of your finisher, right? If you're playing that kind of deck, you'll be burning people out, but at some point you at least do have the ability to just drop a giant board full of dudes and just say what up. And if they deal with that, at least they'd spend a turn dealing with that, and maybe you can continue to burn their face, right? So yeah, I think there's something here.
Well, and mages already have a lot of spells that they play that are 5 or more, right? Like they've got their blizzards, their flame strikes, their firelance portals. Like this could go in so many decks and just be so good.
Yeah, that's where my brain goes, is that I'm already casting 5-cost spells and more with my mage. So Dragon Caller Alana is not asking me to wrap my brain around a archetype that's never existed before, like the Hunter. It's just asking me to continue playing mage as normal.
Yeah, just do mage things, and then
it's asking you to maybe not play Frostbolts anymore, which is kind of a big ask, but
Well, you don't have to only cast 5 cost or more spells,
Yeah,
right?
no,
It's just
no,
you
but
get 1 dragon for each one that you cast.
No, I know that, but I mean, there's
Yeah.
other cards in this that are being added to that are going to hurt if you have less than 5 cost spells in that same deck.
Oh, true.
So
yeah.
it's not this card forcing you not to play Frostbolt. It's the all the other cards, right? Dragon's Fury. If you play Frostbolt, it's going to suck. You're going to pay 5 mana for dealing 2 to everything, right? So, but I mean, like this card is what I think makes that deck that is now being supported by at least 3 other cards, right? Maybe even 4 because there's the neutral elemental. It's like what's making that deck even more powerful than just the fact that you can burn the face. Now all of a sudden you can also make a board full of dragons. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I'm excited for Dragon Color, Alana. It makes me want to just... I want things to slow down so that I'm hoping for large minion versus large minion, whether it's through recruit, whether it's through loading my board up with 5/5s because I spent a bunch of expensive spells. That seems to be what they're wanting to get out of Kobolds and Catacombs. I hope that it lands. Deck of Wonders is next. It's a 5-mana epic mage spell, and it shuffles 5 scrolls into your deck. When drawn, cast a random spell. So you're shuffling into your deck, not your opponent's.
Yeah, they go in your deck, and you don't choose the targets. The targets are random. Everything's random about the spell when it happens. So.
And you still draw another card afterwards, right?
Yes, you draw another card after this. But the spell, like you draw it, the spell happens, then you draw another card.
Yeah.
And it's still your turn.
Right.
It's pretty bad probably, but super fun and memey. So.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Bad for competitive, but if we had a ranking for meme scores, I'd give it 5 memes out of 5. We haven't talked about Dragon's Fury yet. Let's talk about that. That's another 5-mana epic mage spell that reads, reveal a spell from your deck, deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. All minions. Well, if you're running nothing but 5 cost spells and up.
Kind of back, or whatchamacallit? Drawback. A back draw.
It does have a drawback and a back draw, yes. But yeah, no, I mean, but do you really care? Like, I don't think you're even playing that many minions in this style of deck. So, I mean, you don't play it after you play Dragon Color or Lana because you don't want to kill all your own dragons. But, I mean, it's just another nice big board clear. So,
there will be a 5/5 later on in the game.
Yeah, sure.
Right. No one's forcing you to cast Dragon's Fury when you have a board full of 5 health minions. Yeah, that's on you.
But unless you're playing that style of deck, I don't think you actually play. Like if you're just playing like what we have now, kind of that mage, and then just adding Dragon Color or Lana, you probably don't put Dragon's Fury in that because you're already running like Blizzard and Flame Strike and stuff like that as your Meteor or as your removal spells. You probably don't just need another one, but if you're cutting out all the stuff like Frostbolt because you are making just a big spell mage, then yeah, you do need to be able to clear the board on, say, turn 5 instead of turn 6 or 7, which has been one of the problems for that mage is like the only way to do it on 5 was a combination of 2 cards, which was Frost Nova Doomsayer, right? So now you don't have to play those cards. You can just play this card, and you only need the 1 card instead of a combination of cards.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Leyline Manipulator's up next. It's a 4-mana, 4/5 rare mage elemental with a battle cry that reads, if you're holding any cards that didn't start in your deck, reduce their cost by 2. Damn.
Quest mage?
And it's Yeti.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty solid for an archetype that already exists and already does just fine.
Well, it's also cards. So you could find a way to just generate minions, right? So like there's the 5-mana 4/5 that gives you an elemental. It wasn't already in your deck, if you played an elemental the turn before. So if you're playing just like an elemental mage,
it doesn't have to be spells, yeah,
you make that thing cheaper too. It's probably not what we currently know of as Quest Mage that does this, because that deck is pretty jam-packed with exactly what it needs to do what it needs to do, right? Which is like control the board, draw a bunch of cards. So you're not really too worried about making the cards cheaper and playing a minion. It's probably more likely to be in just the Elemental Mage, right? That does a little bit of drawing some cards that are not in your deck, but not built the whole way around that. So
right, because the fact that it's a 4/5 for 4 and also an Elemental, like that's kind of almost good enough already. So if you even hit 1 card with this, it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
Yeah.
And you're probably playing the lesser Ruby Spellstone in that because you're playing elementals, and so
Right.
it'll hit those spells, right?
So does
And
it
whatever
actually
elementals you've
hit-
added.
So I guess the lesser Ruby Spellstone's the one that starts in your deck. So each of the iterations after that, it will discount. So
I don't
the
know,
Ruby
actually.
Spellstone and
But
the
I know
greater
that it
Ruby
gives you 3
Spellstone?
random mage spells when you've upgraded
does.
3 times. So
Yeah.
those ones will definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah,
it's
I'm curious if the upgrades count as not in your deck or not.
yeah, I mean, they're unique cards. They have unique art. They have unique names. They didn't start in your deck, technically.
Yeah.
So then you could potentially be getting 3 random mage spells for free.
I
'Cause it
guess.
discounts
yeah,
by
if it works that
2,
way.
right?
By the way,
So-
too, Chad is bringing up Simulacrum as well. So yeah, you can make copies of minions that are in your deck, but now it's a copy of it. So that one
Right.
didn't start in your deck, and suddenly you're making those cheaper too. So all sorts of cool stuff
Mm-hmm.
with this card.
Yeah. I think it's very, very good, and we're going to be seeing it. And our final mage card is Shifting Scroll. This is a common mage spell, and each turn this is in your hand, you transform it into a random mage spell.
So this is the same as like Shifter's Xeris or the Valera
Molten Blade.
thing. Yeah, Molten Blade. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's Shifting's even in the title. Yeah, it's Shifter's Xeris, but a spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those cards never made it in.
But mage spells are really powerful.
Yeah, but
on the
spells are good.
whole.
Mage spells are good.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I think that's what makes this a little bit more
Yeah.
viable. It's not a totally random minion like Shifter Xeris was that could literally be anything in the game. Like this is a small enough card pool to pull from that I think that this is a lot better than shifting things that we've seen in the past. If it's at a random spell, I would say no. But because it's a random mage spell, I think yes, viable.
So I don't. People are asking if this works with the Leyline, the card we just talked about, the Leyline Manipulator. I'm going to guess no, because if you look at how Shifter Xeris and everything like that works, it's basically it is Shifter Xeris at all times, right?
It's
It
just
turns into
showing
something
you
else, but it has that
Yeah,
that distinct marking that's like, no, this is still that card.
right.
And if you like gave it discounts, it would keep those discounts as it kept changing. So it was still that card. So I'm going to guess that it doesn't, but
Right.
I might be wrong about that.
Well,
Yeah.
because Shifter Xeris too had an actual mana cost. Like it was a 1/1 for 1, right?
Sure. Yeah.
This doesn't have a mana cost.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I also don't think Lesser Ruby Spellstone is going to get cheaper with Leyline Manipulator because it's kind of similar. Like when you saw it get upgraded in the stream, it didn't become a new card. It's just like it highlighted and then its text changed, right?
Right.
So I'm guessing that these don't work with.
The only reason I think it might is because like the name of the card actually changes. Like if
Yeah.
it was just if they were all just called blank Spellstone and
Sure.
that never changed, just the text on the actual bottom of the card changed, then I think I'd agree with you. But because the name of the card changes, I think that
Sure.
the way Hearthstone's coded,
Possible.
it
Yeah,
might.
I'm just
yeah.
theorizing. I have no actual
Yeah.
idea how it works
Yeah.
one way or the other.
A lot of new
But it
stuff.
just feels to me like that. But the thing is, Molten Blade, we kind of made the same argument
Mhm.
that it's not random means, it's random weapons, and generally weapons are pretty good. And then that didn't see play either. So I'm a little hesitant to think that this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joce. I'm leaning more towards it than Molten Blade and Shifter, but still, it's like, well, I could just put a guaranteed spell that I know is good in instead of hoping that this turns into something that I need that turn.
Mhm.
But I
By
think,
the way, this reads differently than those two cards, doesn't it? I'm just looking this up because it's weird that it doesn't have a mana cost. Because
Yeah,
like
but
Shifter Xeris, like when you draw it, it is Shifter Xeris.
yes.
Well,
So then the
that's-
next
that's
turn it
because
turns
he
into
is-
something.
Yeah, he is the minion. I think Molten Blade is a weapon in and of itself the same way Shifter is, isn't it? Like it has an
But
attack
this like
and it,
isn't a spell. It has
No,
no
this
mana,
doesn't
you
do
can't
anything, yeah.
So does it immediately transform?
so it must immediately change at the start of your turn. Or like when you draw it.
yeah.
Because it doesn't do anything.
No, but see, no, it does
itself.
read exactly the same as Shifter Xeris. It says each
Does
turn
it?
this is in your hand. transform it into a random blank, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you draw it and it just has no mana cost. So I'm just wondering, like, that just means like I don't know what that means. Why did they not just put 1 on it or 0? I guess because it can't do anything.
Because then it doesn't do anything unless it was like unless it started as like something along the lines of like Kabbalah's Tome,
so literally
like deal 1 for 1 or but it literally can't do anything. So
that's just strange. So you draw it and you just can't do anything with it the first turn you draw it?
And what about if you put it in your Raven Familiar deck? Can it be an option in that spell joust? Or
I imagine that it would, and you would just never win the joust.
And you would
right?
lose
because
that every
then
time.
you have a 0-cost spell, and so if you ever jousted that, you would just lose. So I think you don't play Shifting Scroll with Raven Familiar.
Sure. That's another reason why it would be
even
a bad
though the
card
Raven
then.
is literally carrying the Shifting Scroll.
So
Is
that's
it?
another reason
Oh,
why
literally
it's a
is.
bad
Oh my
card,
God.
Though, because the moment you draw it, it literally is a dead card, right?
Yeah.
Like the turn you draw it, it does absolutely nothing. So if you top deck this, you've top decked not a card, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Zeros was kind of the same way. I mean, it was a 1/1, but what were you getting done with him?
But yeah, you never played it the turn you drew it. Yeah. So that was another reason why those cards were always like not that playable, because you kind of want to be top decking something that does something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced Shifting Scroll. You're a cool looking scroll, but I'm not convinced.
So overall, what are you guys excited for mage-wise in this expansion? What
Ley
deck
line manipulator.
are you going with?
Leyline Manipulator. Leyline Manipulator.
So something like Elemental Mage, you think?
Yeah, actually, Elemental Mage is the first mage archetype I really want to try after this comes out.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have elementals. I think like we were talking, big spell mage is gonna be a thing too.
And
what do you
just
guys
straight
think
up
about,
burn
like,
mage with
burn
Alaneth,
mage,
or Alaneth, like is going to be a thing too. So any
And
mage
then
is going to be good. I think
a lot of mage archetypes I think are gonna be viable. I think probably so. In terms of like mage versus druid, which one do you think is gonna be more powerful?
Probably still druid, but mage has gotten closer for sure. Mage got better cards than druid did this expansion.
Yeah. And I like the elemental lifesteal thing with Jaina, so I think elemental mage could maybe be the best mage to come out of this expansion.
I'd be down with that if that was the case. It's an archetype I like. I want it to be a little less controlling and lean more into the kind of the minion nature of an elemental synergy deck. So moving on to Paladin. We already talked about their legendary minion Lynessa, but we have not talked about their legendary weapon. Paladins are getting Valinir. It's a 6 mana, 4 attack, 2 durability legendary paladin weapon with a death rattle that reads, give a minion in your hand +4/+2. When it dies, re-equip this.
Crazy.
Never-ending 4/2 weapons once you get equipped one time.
Unless the minion that gets the buff gets silenced.
I was going to say, silence or shapeshifter, but yeah, it's basically reads, give a minion in your hand, silence this immediately, you fool.
So I hear a lot of people talking about silence this set with all these cards. Unless a lot of people start playing Spellbreaker who aren't currently playing it because silence is so important, really the only class that has silence right now is the Raza Priest, right? Like nobody else is playing Spellbreakers
straight
anymore.
Up silence. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just playing it because it makes their hero power go off again. So
yeah.
I don't feel like we always, every set, I feel like everyone talks about silence. Like, oh man, but silence, what if you silence it? And it's like every single time nobody plays silence. It's like, it just, that's why Stampede Coda, or I mean, whatchamacallit, Spiked Ridge Steed actually turned out to be pretty freaking good because it just kind of stuck once he played it. So I don't think silence is really a concern.
The only ones that really were playing Spellbreaker were like Pirate Warrior and other aggro decks because
to get through a taunt at the end to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we're not even seeing Hex anymore after the Hex nerf.
Right.
Because that was the most common transformation spell we were seeing running around. But
still, I mean, some polymorphs though. Some mages are playing polymorph.
Yeah, polymorph will happen in something like that. But yeah, it's not gonna get silenced that often. It's actually gonna be pretty good when it starts going off. But the thing is, like, that is the deck that plays this any good? Because this is basically this is probably like a hand buff paladin.
Hand buff, yeah.
Deck.
Right.
Sure.
This is actually kind of a slow card. I mean, you're paying 6 mana for a
slow.
4 attack weapon When it breaks, which is not going to happen on the turn you play it, then you get the buff on a minion in your hand. You still have to pay the mana for that minion to deploy it onto the board, and then have that minion die and have nothing happen to it along the way to rob you of that death rattle. So yeah, this is one slow card.
It is, yeah, for sure. But the worst that could happen is, something gets silenced or devolved or hexed or whatever, but you still got a 6-mana 4/2, and then you still played some minion that was buffed.
Yeah.
Right? And they had to respond to it. So is that terrible? You're paying basically 2 extra mana over a true silver champion for a possibility of huge upside. It just really kind of depends on if that deck is good or not. But the card itself is very good, I think. So.
Well, and you're probably not playing crappy minions, right? So anything that this 4/2 buff hits is going to be great.
Well, let's say it hits your doppelgangster. Like, okay, silence one of them. Go crazy. I don't care. I don't know. It's just, to me, it feels like, there's a card that maybe makes Handbuff Paladin even better, which it was kind of starting to potentially get close
or
to
your
viable.
chain gang.
Yeah. So
How
long
stuff
can
here.
this go on?
At the beginning of Frozen Throne, that's what I was rocking. I saw Kibler playing it one day on stream, a Handbuff Paladin, and it was fun. It's closer than I think most people give the archetype credit.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, how about that? How about this buffs your Bone Mare, and then your Bone Mare comes out as like
And
a
buffs something
9/7
else.
that
A
buffs something
9/7.
else. Like, oh my god.
All right, let's move on and talk about Crystal Lion. It's a 6-mana 5/5 rare paladin minion that has Divine Shield and costs 1 less for each silver hand recruit you control. Your dudes are getting a pet lion.
Yep. This goes in my Wild Dude Paladin.
Yeah, I still think Wild is where this dude Paladin actually
It totally
exists,
is.
but,
It totally is.
This will be really good in that deck.
That's fine. That's fine, because I still miss Muster for Battle, and that's the whole reason I go back to Wild. I go back there for Muster for Battle and Shielded Minibot. Now
because you could muster, and assuming that they can't clear your board, you're then gonna drop a 5/5 for 3. Okay.
Yeah, sure. And turn 6, you could just play Stand Against Darkness and this in the same turn, right? Because you play five recruits, and then it'd be 1.
And
so
yeah,
not bad.
and then
5
they probably
recruits.
have to choose between clearing all your 1/1s with some sort of AOE or dealing with your 5/5.
Yeah. So this is definitely in Wild. Like, dude Paladin's gonna get even better, and it's already pretty good. So yeah, I like this card quite a bit. It's gonna be tough to make work in Standard though, because we just don't have enough ways to pull pull recruits out right now currently.
Well, Muster for Battle is just so key to the deck.
Muster for
right?
Battle
So,
is huge
yeah.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do have Stand Against Darkness still in Standard, right?
You
But-
do, yeah.
It's
But
more
that-
about
But
in
it's
itself
so
is not
late, right?
relevant.
Like
Yeah.
you need a whole flood of dudes early in that dude Paladin deck.
And don't forget Vine Cleaver, but I think that the key word here is
Vine Cleaver.
we're out of more efficient ways to generate multiple dudes, which is that's what Muster did. So
Also, you're missing some of the best ways to buff them, which is Quartermaster, right? So
Yes, yeah, Quartermaster is also really important.
yep. The only other Paladin card we have not talked about already is Potion of Heroism. So we're going all the way down to the common slot for Paladins. It's a 2-mana common Paladin spell that gives a minion Divine Shield and draws a card. So we saw this on stream, seemed really good, but again, the stream decks were memey as hell. So I'm not sure how good this card actually is, but I want to try it.
I think it's really good. I mean,
Did work amazing with Lanessa, and I mean, for 2 mana, giving something Divine Shield and getting that card draw, that's pretty huge.
because like Hand of Protection was actually a card that was really overlooked a lot of times in Arena and stuff like that. People would think it's not very good, but man, just being able to kill something and get your minion to just be alive again, and then it's like you just 2-for-1 stuff. Now I'm also cycling this card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you'll be seeing this a lot in like Death Knight Paladin as well. That's just trying to cycle through to some sort of Auction Master Beardo-y combo and stuff like that.
Yep.
You'll see it in the buff Paladin. You'll see it in just any Paladin that wants to draw cards and protect minions, like which
Including-
is kind of everybody, right?
Which is pretty much how Paladin
Who
plays.
doesn't want to do that?
Yeah.
Including because it's in the common slot in Arena. You're probably going to see this in against almost any damn Paladin, even in Arena.
Yeah. Oh, I'm picking this like almost every single time I see it in Arena. So I think it's just a fantastic card. Like, think about Purify, right? I don't even have to silence something. I get to put a shield on it. Oh my god! Wow.
Protect my minion. Replace this card.
Not bad.
All right, on to Priest, where we've also talked about a decent amount of cards, but there's still a decent amount left to discuss, starting with Twilight Acolyte, who's just
What is he doing with his mouth?
He's...
what is even happening there?
Have you ever needed to slurp up spit while keeping your teeth clenched? It's like, I think that's what he's doing. Like, he's like, ooh,
Gross.
this is going to be so good. He's talking through his teeth. Anyway, Twilight Acolyte is a 3-mana, 2/4 epic priest minion. It's a kobold. Trying to slurp up spit with a battle cry that reads, if you're holding a dragon, swap this minion's attack with another minion's.
Hell yeah.
Sounds
I mean, you can
sounds
just,
good.
you can like neuter another guy's minion while making your 3-drop super awesome. So most of the time, the other people are going to be playing stuff that's like, on like turn 3, there'll be something with probably at least 3 or 4. So it wouldn't even be terrible there.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in the late game, you're just going to take away a strong minion's ability to be a threat. So
what I go to sleep thinking every night, man, I wish priests had ways to deal with 4-attack minions.
Well, here you go. Yeah, turn it into a 2-attack minion, Shadow Word, paint it, bookworm it, do whatever you want to it.
I'm being sarcastic, by the way.
You
They
can
didn't
Shadow
do this.
Word horror it too now, right? So yeah.
Yep. Ugh.
Not too shabby. Yeah, I think Dragon Priest, I was wondering what else they were going to get. This is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I was worried about what else they were going to get, and rightfully so. Lesser Diamond Spellstone is up next. So the Priest Spellstone is on the block. It's a 7-mana rare priest spell that resurrects 2 different friendly minions, but you can upgrade it by casting 4 spells. 4 spells to upgrade this sucker. If you cast 4 spells, the first upgrade will resurrect 3 different friendly minions for your 7 mana. And if you cast 4 more spells and upgrade it to its 3rd and final form, you will resurrect 4 different friendly minions for your 7 mana.
I like the different, caveat. So that they can't just have the same one.
Yeah, you can't get 4 Lich Kings.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not also it's this is I think significantly harder to pull off than say the Hunter Spellstone.
Yep.
This is really a weird spellstone because the 2 things don't really go together. Like you're not necessarily playing like a Priest Resurrect deck and a whole bunch of cheap spells, right? So in Big Priest you play a lot of spells, but you play very few minions, and the fact that you have to resurrect different ones means like one of them will be Barnes, I guess. Like it's weird. It's like the 2 things don't quite gel together perfectly. It's kind of like the Dragon Soul where you look at it and everyone goes like, ooh, Dragon Priest, but really Dragon Priest doesn't play a whole bunch of cheap spells, and Resurrect Priest doesn't really play a whole bunch of cheap spells. So it's a super strong thing when you actually get it to go off, but the deck, I'm not sure what it looks like yet. I'm going to toy with this a little bit, but it's kind of a weird deck, I think.
Yeah, so Dragon Soul and the Spellstone kind of support each other because you want to be casting a whole bunch of spells, right? And the thing is, you're resurrecting 2 different friendly minions. So if there's already something on board, so say like your the Obsidian dude that has lifesteal and Obsidian statue, yeah. So like you might have one on board, but if one's already died, like you can still get that back. So
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I don't exactly know what this deck looks like. I feel like this, if it's even possible, got less help than the Hunter one. And it's very expensive, right? So I don't know.
It's expensive and it's slow as hell. You gotta cast 4 spells. You gotta cast 8 spells to get this up to max.
Yeah.
And that's a third of your deck, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just 2 competing ideas, kind of. So I'm not really sure if this is actually going to see that much play. But if it does go off and there's a deck that ends up making it work, it's probably really good when this gets played. Like when it actually does get played and resurrects a bunch of big stuff. That's going to be amazing.
It's something I want to make work because you all know my opinion on graveyard mechanics, and I've wanted them in Hearthstone for so long. We're finally getting a few here and there peppered, but I have nothing to add. I have the same concerns as you, but this is probably the thing I believe in the least that I will still try and make work.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go for it. But yeah, you're gonna have to add a few extra minions probably to your big priest to make sure you can do the 4 different minions, right? Because that's one of the things the big priest really excels at is they just keep resing the same one over and over again. Although I think they each count as different instances of the same one. So
I don't think by the time you're actually going to deploy the Diamond Spellstone, I don't think it's that big of an ask.
It's probably not that big of a drawback at that point. Yeah,
I think 4 unique minions will most likely have died by then.
Yeah.
And
this
if
will
not,
just be like your late game, right? This is the way to get one more giant amount of stuff on the board because that's kind of their problem is sometimes they just run out of stuff.
Yeah,
like
well,
they keep bringing it back. If you can actually manage to kill it, eventually they're like, damn, I have no more minions in my deck, and then I have no more ways to resurrect them, and suddenly I have no win conditions. So.
Right, and imagine that you find a way to make this work with a N'Zoth priest. Like you already have N'Zoth bringing a bunch of stuff back. What's the worst thing that can happen there? Well, they deal with the board. It's like, oh no, how do I ever come back with this? I don't have N'Zoth anymore. Well.
Here's another one. Yeah. Essentially, you
could
have 2 more N'Zoths. So you could have like 3 N'Zoths, kind of.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The only ask is that this thing has got to be in your hand while you're casting those spells, and it's going to be a dead card the whole journey.
Yep.
I'm just glad that it wasn't like straight up a spellstone that you just like put in your Dragon Priest or you put in your Kazakus Priest. Like everything is just like you have to think about it. It might work. It might not work. It's probably going to be just this totally new way to play Priest. I'm glad they went that way, and existing Priest just didn't get straight up stronger.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. Although between Dustbreaker and Twilight Acolyte being like, oh, good, cold, Dragon Priest is going to be broken. I'm not sure that's a point I'll give them. Like, oh, good, you made one of them kind of I'm not sure card.
Well, but I mean, like, they could have just gone way into the whole Dragon Priest direction, right? And your Diamond Spellstone and their weapon could have been like auto includes in Dragon, and it's not. They're a new archetype, a new thing you have to do. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yep. Twilight's Call is next. It's a 3-mana rare pre-spell that will summon 1/1 copies of 2 friendly Death Rattle minions that died this game. N'Zoth Priest, here I come.
Yeah, N'Zoth Priest, Quest Priest, maybe Lesser Diamond Spellstone Priest. You're summoning like new versions of those minions, right? So it allows you to do, and it's a cheaper spell. Yeah, those types of decks. It's just, is that priest going to be better than just playing Raza, Kazakus, Death Knight?
Probably not.
Or is it going to be better than just playing dragons?
Yeah,
probably not.
Yeah,
but fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fun card.
Let's just keep trucking right along. Still have quite a few cards to get through. Gilded Gargoyle is a 3-mana 2/2 common priest minion that has a death rattle that will add a coin to your hand. This is, if you haven't seen the art, is a straight up gold gargoyle.
Mm-hmm. So it's a bad body, but the Raza priest doesn't play a lot of minions, and it does like to have coins. So because coins allow it to, play Death Knights earlier. Coins allow it to refresh hero powers.
Refresh the hero power. Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's going to be good with your Dragon Soul. It's going to be good with your Lesser Diamond Spellstone. Seems like it could be a thing.
Yeah.
In that deck, anyway.
Yeah, this is another one of those big kind of wait and see cards. I'm looking at the Dragon Soul. Like, does that work? Is there an archetype that succeeds with those as the idea? If so, cool. I guess I'm playing a golden gargoyle. I wanted to see the golden version of this. How do they make this more golden?
It's just going to like flap its wings or something like that. But it's probably a pretty weak card in any other deck except for that Raza Kazakus Priest.
But you probably pick it in Arena, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I mean, in Arena, I don't know if I want to play a 3-mana 2/2 ever. Unless it does something to the board that turn.
Arena is such a mystery to me.
It's not.
Yeah. It's okay. So Lil Ball of Hate is saying in the chat, compared to Tomb Pillager, it's terrible. But the thing is, like, you can't necessarily compare cards from different classes exactly 1-to-1 to each other. Mm-hmm. So, it's possible that just in its current iteration, they don't want to give Priest like a Tomb Pillager level of power type of card because of how good Raza currently is, right? So
yeah.
I'm in that boat as well. Psionic Probe is next. I never stop giggling when probe is uttered. It's a 1-mana common priest spell.
Like, it's called a probe, and the art on this card just, I don't know, it's like so bad. so bad.
What's a psionic
Am I
one?
the only one who looks at this and goes full on dirty? Like,
Yes. Yes, you are, because I did not think of it until just now. I will say this is...
Yeah, it looks like she's getting her mind probed by some giant dragon, right? That's what it looks like to
right,
me.
her mind,
Yeah.
right.
I'll say it's not
Her
my...
mind.
It's not my
I
favorite.
don't see anything going up her butt, Jocelyn, if that's what you're trying to say.
Oh, man.
I see, like, pink things coming out of her brain and going
It looks
towards
like
the
she has
pink
giant
dragon.
pink eyebrows.
That's part of the probing. That's the probing process.
I will
It involves a lot of
concede-
pink, weird things coming out of your face.
I will concede. I think this is my least favorite Hearthstone art since King of the Beasts. This is not the most inspired illustration I've seen on a Hearthstone card. Anyway, Psionic Probe is a 1-mana common priest spell, and it copies a spell in your opponent's deck and then adds it to your hand.
So like
other
mind
than
vision
Milkshake.
through your deck. It's mind vision, but the deck, and it's always a spell. But this can be like really good, or it can be really bad because, mind vision actually was played for a brief period of time for reals in like the big priest because they just didn't really have anything to do for a while, and they didn't want to play that many minions. They just wanted to have spells and stuff. So they were like, well, I'll take one of your things, and maybe I can do stuff with that. Psionic Probe, I'll definitely play my Milkshake deck, but man, if you get to like a fatigue situation or something, this card is completely dead, doesn't do anything. Let's say they've used all the spells in their deck and there's only minions left, like just does nothing. So the fact that it is a spell is good because you now do want to play spells, but I think you probably just want to play the spells that you already put in your deck, not the spells the other guy put in his deck. And so yeah, it's a Milkshake card, fun card, probably not a real card.
Well, if the man who coined the term Milkshake because he loves building priest decks that plays with his opponent's cards isn't going to champion this card, then I'm not going to step up for it because I don't want to
It's
look
going
at
in my
this
Milkshake
card.
deck, that's for sure. I'm just not putting it anywhere else.
Have we hit a totally competitively viable Milkshake deck yet?
Yeah, I have a version right now that it's not like really good. It loses to a lot of different stuff, but it beats a lot of things too. It's my Hemet Milkshake deck. So it's kind of just playing Raza, Kazakis, and the Death Knight, but the rest of the deck is all Milkshake, and then at a certain point I just hem it away all my milkshakey stuff and just make sure I draw those combo pieces, and I just take the rest of your deck.
It's really good when I destroy the entire deck and the purpose of it and just play the good priest
Well, no,
now.
but then I Archbishop your deck, so I'm kind of like ultimately milkshaking. You at
Okay,
that point.
all right. All right, okay. You saved
I
it.
kill my deck to get the good stuff that I wanted, the important things, and then I just steal the whole of your deck. It's great.
All right. Let's move on to Rogue and talk about their legendary weapon, King's Bane. This is a 1-mana, 1-attack, 3 durability weapon with a death rattle that reads, shuffle this into your deck. It keeps any enchantments. I'm so excited about this freaking weapon.
This is very cool.
This is why
It's
Blade
cool.
Flurry died.
But did we get any cards in this expansion that buff weapons for Rogue?
I don't think so.
Okay, so what do we
and
got?
it also says it keeps any enchantments. So does that work with like the pirates that buff it, or does that
Yeah.
only work when you? Okay,
Yeah, no,
I
it
wasn't
works
sure
with
if
like
it only works
any.
with
It's not
things
just
like
cards that
Tinker
buff.
or. Okay.
So you could like even in like Wild, you could do the mech that buffs it +1, all that kind of like yeah. You can definitely end up buffing this pretty decently. The thing is, you have to reliably redraw it,
Right.
and that could be difficult. Even though we do have a draw a weapon from your deck card that we haven't talked about yet, but you also have to draw that card and then reliably redraw this card. So you have to then also be playing a deck that is going to survive long enough to be drawing into its deck that deeply, right?
Or something like Miracle Rogue that wants to draw their whole deck, right? Like,
Yeah.
would this be
Maybe.
something you could put in a Miracle deck?
Maybe,
Just to
but
give
again,
you
like
more
there's not enough
stuff?
spells that buff your weapons. I don't know. It's like if we're looking for like a finisher, we probably still want to just be doing like Arcane Giants, questing adventures, or Leroy's, or things like that, like more reliably than I just keep swinging at your face with a buffed Kingsbane. I don't know.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people like talking about how good this weapon is, and I'm just like, I don't know if I buy it yet. Like it at first glance looks awesome, and then when I think about it, I'm like, not enough ways to buff this reliably, and then not enough ways to reliably redraw it, and then have enough time to smash your opponent's face enough times to actually kill them, right? So
what about over in Wild where we have
Oil.
like oil? Yeah.
you got oil, yeah. It definitely works better there, that's for sure. You also have more minions that buff your weapons and things like that available to you there, so for sure better in Wild. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm thinking about Miracle and the ability to draw through, and I'm just like, why don't I just play Leroy Coldblood Shadow Step and all that kind of stuff? Why am I trying to redraw this one weapon over and over again?
I'm immediately, if I get this, I don't think I'm going to craft it because I'm not sure how great it will be, but I'm going to make a dumb, not thinking about it, not theory crafting it, Wild Pirate Rogue again. I'm just going to throw this in with some weapon buffing pirates, probably include oil and deadly poison, and just see how it goes. I'm excited for Kingsbane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play with this card and try something cool about this. But how does it work with Doomerang? Does its death rattle actually go off and then you get it back in your hand as well? I don't know if that's how that works.
I guess so.
I really don't know.
And so if you Doomerang, then does it keep its enchantments and go in your hand? Or
yes,
does
it works
just...
with Doomerang, people are saying, but I haven't heard Blizzard.
Okay.
I haven't seen the Blizzard.
Chat, we want to see a link.
Yeah.
I saw this being batted around on Twitter, and I didn't see an official answer to any of it.
Yeah. If it does work with Doomerang, it's a much better card, obviously. But
yeah,
I'm still not convinced. But I'm gonna try the hell out of it.
I'm very excited for the
science!
potential of Kingsbane. Very excited. Evasion's up next. It's a 2-mana epic rogue spell that, it's a secret and also a spell. After your hero takes damage, become immune this turn. That Kobold is using the Cloak of Invisibility. Do we care about becoming immune after taking damage?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like Ice Block for Rogue, right? To a certain extent. Although you can get through it by immediately dealing the damage, right? So
right, as long as whatever the damage you were about
damage first.
Right, as long as the amount of damage that you took isn't enough to kill you outright.
Yeah,
right.
But it could be the thing that buys you enough time to just get your damage combo off, right? So, I think for sure, like Rogue likes to extend games out until it draws into combos. They've always kind of liked doing that, so I think Evasion's a great tool to be able to enable that to happen more often. So, yeah, like I think about like Malagos and Miracle style things. Like they end up taking a lot of damage getting to combo pieces, and then they kind of go off on you. And it's like not as good as an Ice Block, but also 1 mana cheaper. So in that respect, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So that's right. It's still been. I've not been able to figure out the darn link thing. So Eolin's trying to post a link, and of course, they can't see it. Neither can I. To the Kingsbane question. So we're assuming Doomerang works with Kingsbane. Next up is Lesser Onyx Spellstone. This is a 5-mana rogue spell. It's a rare, and it destroys 1 random enemy minion. You play 3 Death Rattle cards to upgrade it. And, of course, if you play 3 Death Rattle cards, the first upgrade will destroy up to 2 random enemy minions. And if you upgrade it a 3rd time, it destroys up to 3 random enemy minions.
This seems like it can be really good in a Death Rattle rogue deck, but Death Rattle rogue decks have not ever been that good yet. I don't know if this makes them suddenly really good, but that was kind of the problem, was you filled your deck with N'Zoths and Death Rattles and stuff like that, and then there wasn't enough room for like awesome removal and things. So here's pretty awesome removal. 6 Death Rattle cards is a lot, but Kingsbane is a Death Rattle card, so there's 1 more, right? We've now got a couple more being added, right? Which I don't know if they're actually super playable, but you got the Kobold Illusionist and things like that, which could give you 1/1 copies of the Death Rattle minions you already have. You also have Sonya Shadow Dancer, which could give you 1/1 copies of some of the Death Rattle minions that you already have. So maybe it's pretty easy to get this thing to 3 and then kill 3 giant minions. It's that's crazy, right? So super possible that this is awesome, and also super possible that this deck is just terrible, and it doesn't matter how awesome this actual card is.
Right. If Death Rattle for Rogue ever comes online, Onyx Spellstone is going to be kind of gross.
Sure. I still just think that Tempo Rogue is just still going to be the best Rogue when the next set comes out. Like, it's still probably going to be the best Rogue. So
it's really good. Elven Minstrel is next because you needed more ammo to want a bard in World of Warcraft. Right? But the Elven Minstrel is a 4-mana, 3/2 rare rogue minion that has a combo on it that reads draw 2 minions from your deck.
So recruit to your hand?
It's just
well, I mean,
draw.
drawing 2 for essentially, I mean, so 3/2 body is worth 2, so you're paying 2 mana to draw 2 cards, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, draw 2 minions specifically.
Well, yeah, and specific cards, yeah. But I'm just like, even if we just make it like 2 cards, like 2 mana to draw 2 cards is a pretty good deal. The problem is that you have to combo it, so you'll have to, play another card first. So that's a little bit of a drawback, but I mean, I think if you have specific minions you're trying to draw and you don't play that many minions in your deck, like let's say you're playing like Malagos and your minions are like Auctioneer and Malagos and stuff, maybe you want to play the Minstrel just to make sure you get those minions that are so important to your game plan. There's something possibly there.
Well,
right?
they should have wrote it as combo. Draw your combo pieces in that example that you just gave. But I mean, the fact that it's specifically minions, like, that's cool. Draw is always good. Targeted draw is, you can start getting creative.
Yeah, like we haven't seen, in Magic, there's all these effects to literally just pick the card you want out of your deck. At least in this instance, we're starting to get a little closer to that, where it's not exactly the minion you want, but it's like, oh, it's a minion, or oh, it's a spell, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or oh, it costs this amount. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff is always really useful when you're trying to make specific combos. So yeah, there might be something really, really cool with this. I'm just not so sure that it's the best way to go about drawing those cards. But
just because you have to combo it?
Well, because you have to combo it and you also have to play a weak minion at the same time. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, people play weak minions to draw all the time. They play Acolyte of Pain and stuff like that. So they pay 2 for 1/1s and 2 for 2/1s with Death Rattles like that. That's kind of the deal with drawing. So it's not that weak compared to what it's actually doing for you.
Mm-hmm. Right. As long as you're dropping it with the combo and not in some really sad state where you're like, oh my God, my only play is to drop Elven Minstrel and I have nothing to activate combo.
I would just pass in that situation. Like, this card is just, drawing the 2 minions is way too important, I think. So
yeah. All right. The only other rogue card we have not talked about yet is Cavern Shiny Finder.
Great name.
2 mana, 3/1 common rogue minion with a battle cry that reads, draw a weapon from your deck. So this is what you were alluding to earlier, Dills, when you were talking about we got a minion that will reliably draw us our Kingsbane, because we sure as heck aren't running any other weapons as rogue right now.
No. Yeah, this just reads, draw your Kingsbane from your deck, basically. And this, Kingsbane needed a card like this if it was ever going to work. So, this is... If you're playing Kingsbane, you're playing 2 of these as well, for sure.
Yes.
And it's not bad. Like, if there was another good weapon, it's just not a bad card on its own. Like, a 3/1 for 2 is not terrible. So you're basically losing 1 health in value to draw a specific type of card again.
Right.
So, but there's just not any other actual good weapons in Rogue right now. So.
But at least it doesn't have the caveat that the Minstrel does, right? You don't have to combo it. It just will do it.
Just does it.
Yeah, it's on the battle cry. Like, if this was a Death Rattle, no thank you. Combo, less attractive. Battle cry, sign me up.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to Shaman, where we only have 3 Shaman cards we haven't discussed, and we're kicking it off with Murmuring Elemental, which is a 2 mana rare Shaman Elemental that has 1 attack, 1 health, and a battle cry that reads, your next battle cry this turn triggers twice. It's attached to
Mini Barns.
Yeah, mini. I mean, it's attached. Not Barnes.
You know who I mean.
Yes.
Brand.
Yeah. Brand. You moved you transposed your R and your A. That's what you did.
It's been a long day.
A lot of cards. There's a lot. Every time a new set comes out, I'm like, bunch of new names I got to learn. Oh god. Yeah.
But anyway, this is attached to a 2-mana card. It's very realistic.
It's easier to combo out, right? But you just can't do it multiple times. Like it's not gonna. Like Bran, one of the cool things about it was you had to kill it, right?
Yeah.
It was a 2/4 that had to die. This is a 2/1 that, well, you get your sweet value one time, and then they're like, okay, cool, now it's just a 1/1. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it pretty balanced. And I guess the issue I'm having is what really good battle cries is Shaman playing right now outside of the elemental stuff? And it is an elemental too, by the way. So I mean,
yeah, no, this
I think
is
that's
an
where it
elemental
goes, right? It doesn't really
card,
go anywhere else. Yeah.
So you would do this with like the choose your elemental guy and the that
like
kind of
discovering
stuff.
elemental,
Discovering
or
elementals,
dealing 3 damage or dealing
Yeah.
5 damage, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
I don't think it goes in. I don't think it goes into Evolve Shaman, but it definitely goes into an elemental Shaman. And now we've also got that Grumble World Shaker to pull all these minions back and have them cost 1. So yeah, you're gonna definitely see some stuff in elemental Shaman with this, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think so as well. I'm excited about Murmuring Elemental. Now give me Murmur.
You could also combo it with Windshear Stormcaller, right? And then you get 2 Alakirs.
Well,
that's a perfect storm.
No, wait, 'cause then
that it sucks,
You don't have enough
so.
room. You don't have enough room on your board,
Oh,
right?
right.
You
Well,
got
hold on.
4
4
totems.
basic totems plus
4
5.
totems, a
plus-
Murmuring
Plus
Elemental,
your-
and then you
Yep.
wouldn't have room for 2.
Then you
Yeah.
Windshear, and then you Alakir.
wouldn't get
So
2
yeah,
of
wouldn't
them, yeah.
get 2 anyways. Never mind.
Oh, man, I hate the minion limit in Hearthstone. I completely understand why it's there. I hate it. Yeah, no. I think it's a super cool card. I want to play some elemental decks, guys. I really do. That's what I thought I was going to be doing when Ungoro came out, and just took some time. It took some time, I think. We'll see.
I still have like what I think is a fairly decent build of Elemental Jade Shaman, and this card is 100% going into that deck because I get double my Jade battle cries and double my Elemental battle cries. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, Healing Rain is up next. It's 3 mana common shaman spell, and it reads restore 12 health, divided randomly among all friendly characters.
I love the flavor of this.
Yes.
This
I
is
think
just
it's
the
so
most
cool.
insane healing card in the game now, right?
Yeah.
It's bonkers. And it's at 3 mana?
If you have no minions on board, it's just 3 mana to heal myself for 12.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Heal my own face for 12.
Yep.
If I do have a board
never
full of
even
minions,
thought about that.
yeah. If I do have a board of minions, it's 3 mana, heal all my minions probably to full, and me the rest of the way, whatever is left over.
Yeah.
Like, damn, this card is insane. It's so efficient and so cheap. And there's a 4 mana card that's just heal one thing for 12, right? So now here we got 1 mana less, and we get to spread it all out.
Spread the love.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not damaged, it's guaranteed to go to your minions. If your minions aren't damaged, it's guaranteed to go to you. Nuts.
Yeah, like it'll probably heal, like let's say everything's damaged by like 1 or 2. It'll probably heal them all to full, and then you'll just get the rest. Like, what?
So
That's
how does
crazy.
it actually work if you like assume you have like one thing that's damaged or something? Like, is it guaranteed to hit the damaged things first?
No, it's just random.
It's just
but
random.
but
So it's
12
random if you're already
one
full.
heal things.
Right,
So think
yeah.
about like spreading play or spreading madness or what's the
Yeah,
card that
that's
Warlock
that's
has, right?
Warlock. Yeah, spreading that.
Yeah, so it like hits a bunch of things one time. Think about like Cthulhu, like it, it's all random,
Yeah,
spreads it out.
a bunch
But
of random things.
once something
yeah.
is full, it won't
But once
heal
something
that
is
anymore because
dead,
it can't be
Yeah.
healed.
can't damage it anymore. So I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
can a heal still hit something that's full health? Basically?
It won't. Yeah, it's also like Ragnaros, the Light Lord, won't heal something that already is
Right.
at full health.
Random.
It's the same thing. Won't
Random.
heal anything that's already at full health.
Random heals
Okay.
will not hit full health targets.
Okay.
Just like damage won't hit something with 0 health.
Right, exactly. Okay. No, I was just double checking because I was like, is there any way that this can totally whiff and like hit your face 12 times and never touch your minions?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it can't if you're already full health. Okay. Cool. just checking. I just want to make sure it can't whiff. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Hachikumo, who's like, Akanai plus Healing Rain equals Volcano. He's clearly being sarcastic. Good luck finding your Akanai.
Well,
but
There's definitely going to be some trolled in videos where somebody plays Northshire Cleric and there's a bunch of damaged minions on the board, and then you make them draw 12 cards. Like, that is going to happen. I'm looking forward to that.
Burn them. All right, final shaman card. Crushing Hand is a 2-mana common shaman spell that reads deal 8 damage to a minion. Overload 3. That's a card.
That's pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
Overloading 3 is nice. Because, like, the problem with, Flame Lance was that you had to pay 5 for it, and you oftentimes didn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was a really good, like, arena card, right? Like, just kill a big thing. It's probably still an arena card, this, because oftentimes, like, you don't want to just put in, like, deal 8 to something or whatever. Like, you haven't really seen that happen too often. But this is, I think, better. It's, like, way better to pay the same amount for the same amount of damage and then defer some of the cost. So, not only do you, like, kill something big, but now you, like, play something big that same turn. And then, yeah, your next turn's a little weaker, but in that one turn, you, like, really did flip the board.
Yeah, and you probably had...
It's possible that this is actually constructed worthy.
Right, and it goes well with their Spellstone, which we haven't talked about today. We talked about previously, but that requires you to overload 3 mana crystals to upgrade your Spellstone, right? So Crushing Hand goes very, very well with what shamans are going to try to do in order to summon copies of minions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. You need, like, actual decent overload cards to play with your lesser Sapphire Spellstone if you're going to want to play that. So
yeah. And that's the cool thing with this is that 2 mana. So if you're sitting at 9, you could play this and your now upgraded Sapphire Spellstone in the same turn.
Sure.
Because of the 2 mana.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you waited till next turn, you would have to have had 10 mana on board to actually be able to cast Sapphire Spellstone to follow up after a turn you played Crushing Hand. But I digress.
Yeah, the question is just like, do you need to deal 8 damage to a minion that often? Is that going to be a thing that comes up often enough that it's worth running this? That's really going to be,
if everything is going as big and as late as we think it is, then in some cases, I think 8 damage isn't even going to be enough on some of those 12 health dragons, right?
The sleeping dragon? Yeah. I think it's just going to be like 8 damage.
Yeah, but then you'll just roll Spell Power Totem. It's fine.
Yeah.
It still won't be enough for the 12 health dragon. All right, let's move out of shaman. That is all the shaman spells. Warlock. We only have 3 warlock cards we haven't talked about already, starting with Possessed Lackey. It's a 5-mana 2/2 rare warlock minion with a death rattle that reads Recruit a Demon.
A death rattle.
A death rattle that reads Recruit a
Gotta
Demon.
die.
This card gives me anxiety.
It's like, it's costed properly, I think, but it's too fair, I think, to be actually good, and so probably won't actually see play. I actually don't even think this, like, recruiting or playing your demons for free or whatever with Skull of the Minari, I don't even think that deck's actually going to be that good. I think we're really going to be seeing, like, Demon-y Zoo, and I think that deck is going to be, like, really top tier, and I just don't think Possessed Lackey goes into it.
Well, because, I mean, even with the skull decks and stuff, like, and the reason why and I can't remember the name of it now, but the Dragon Recruiter is so good is because it's persistent, right? It
end of turn, too.
And it's, end of turns or, looking at battle card. I feel with Death Rattle, and it's something that doesn't happen over and over again, whether it's the start of your turn or end of your turn. Like, you just get this to happen once. And the 2/2 isn't that threatening in and of itself, right? So you don't necessarily even have to deal with this. It doesn't have the demon tag itself. So, yeah, I don't think that this is, like you said, Dills, it's very fair, which means it probably won't see play.
Exactly. Like, think about, Void Caller back in the day. Like, that was pretty good because you kind of knew what demon you were getting because it was in your hand. You kind of, like, make sure that you played it when you knew you were going to get something cool.
And it had way better stats, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was a 3/4, if I remember.
And it was a 3/4 for 4 instead of a 2/2
for 5.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Probably not very good. But who knows? Again, fair. And fair sometimes, like for newer players and stuff, like people are going to get this card in a pack and be like, holy crap, and they're going to make decks they're going to have a lot of fun with. But at top tier levels, probably not seen play.
No. This is one of the first cards today that I just want to be like, yeah, this is bad. I don't like this card at all. Hooked Reaver is up next. It's a 4-mana, 4/4 rare warlock demon. It's got a battle cry on it that reads, if you have 15 or less health, gain +3/+3 and taunt.
Well, here's one of the demons you do not want to recruit, right? So, It's a 4-mana 7/7. Yay,
Yeah.
we did it.
Yes.
I think this is pretty good. This is pretty good. You're
I-
dealing damage to yourself as Warlock, right? And so playing a 7/7 demon with taunt when you're down at 15 or less health, it's going to be pretty helpful at that point in the game.
Well, and you're very specifically trying to take damage from your cards to upgrade your spellstone, right? So you might potentially already be in the lowish health range. So I think you're going to hit this 15 health fairly early on in the game, fairly often. So
Yeah.
this might actually be pretty good.
And now we have Dark Pact, so we have ways to heal back up pretty efficiently as a Warlock. So yeah, it's like, it feels to me like it's kind of like that Zooey type thing. And then this is like, you remember there was the dragon that if the opponent was under 15 health, it would be a 9/9. You remember what I'm talking about?
Draconoid Crusher.
Yes, the Crusher. Yeah, like this is kind of like the reverse version of that, but
with a hero that already damages itself consistently.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and being under 15 is not that terrible when you now have the ability to potentially heal back up pretty easily. So
Yeah.
also, it is a demon, so its 4/4 version will come back with the Death Knight. So
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Gul'dan, yeah.
yeah, but it won't get the battle
Like
cry
Peter.
effect. But still,
Yeah.
another demon coming back.
Well, the thing is, like, with Gul'dan, just even bringing back your little 1/3 Malkazar's imps, like, it's another
Just
body
bodies,
that is
yeah.
annoying to deal with, and
Mhm.
exactly, needs to be cleared. So, I mean, if bringing back a 1/3 that doesn't really do anything at that point in the game is good, then bringing back a 4/4 is going to be good.
Totally fine. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah,
Chat
absolutely.
wants to make sure we mention it, but yeah, obviously Jiraxis. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have some side notes here just so I know for a fact what cards we've already discussed, and I made some personal notes. Hooked Reaver is the only card that I put a note that I put. Pretty sure we'll all just say it's good and can move on.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Dark Pact is the final Warlock card we have not talked about. It's a 1-mana common Warlock spell, and for that 1 mana, you get 2. Destroy a friendly minion, restore 8 health to your hero. So you mentioned Dark Pact just a second ago, talking about Hooked Reaver.
Yeah. Now, it does suck to kill off one of your friendly minions, but there are minions out there that you do want to kill. We saw on the stream, Reels used it on the Possessed Lackey. I think that's not really the way you're going to want to do this, but it's just nice to know that you have healing in your back pocket, and 8 healing for 1 mana is pretty good. So, yeah, you'll have to kill a minion off, but maybe you can find some... Maybe you could throw a couple eggs in there or something, some cool death rattles or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring these minions back if they're demons with Gul'dan. So, seems like, just a nice way to just make sure you have the healing you need in this kind of deck. It might not be in the deck at all. They might just be like, hey, I take the damage and then I heal some other way. Or I heal with Gul'dan, right? Which is kind of how they do it now. But it's very possible that at 1 mana, 8 health is enough to make this a card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of healing.
If you're playing some sort of like recruit your demons type deck and you're playing things like Void Lord, then you're going to have 3 Void Walkers, right? So, I mean, just kill one of them and heal for 8. Like,
Mhm.
I think there's going to be a lot of little tokeny things that you may not really be that worried about killing, right?
Yeah. The thing is, like, I do feel like Wild is probably where you really see this come into play a lot, but it is
Implosion,
like, if
and then just
Warlock,
kill one of the little imps. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. If Warlock needs a little bit of healing, this is a pretty decent option that's on the table.
Yep. All right. Home stretch. Warrior is our final class. Also has the most cards we need to talk about within a given class. And we're going to start things off with their legendary weapon, Woe Cleaver, which is an 8 mana, 3 attack, 3 durability weapon that reads, after your hero attacks, recruit a minion. They are real confident in Big Warrior.
Yeah.
Yes. Big,
The thing is, it's
controlly,
not-
awesome warrior.
It's not that big, though, because it's turn 8. So, I don't, it's like... I mean,
well, yeah, but
you-
like if all of your minions are like 6 to 10 drops, then
Yeah.
that seems pretty good.
Just think about, like, I would expect to pay, like, 3.5 or so, 4 mana for a 3/3 weapon. So if I then get, an 8 drop the turn I play that weapon, I'm definitely getting a deal. But, it's like, the reason why Big Priest is so good is because sometimes you get this giant minion on 4, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. So, but in this recruit deck, Woe Cleaver is a card that goes into it. It just depends on if that recruit deck is that good, or if people are just kind of playing just straight up control warrior that just drops the big minions when they're ready for them, rather than tries to cheat them out for free. So,
well, what if you Woe Cleaver and it brings out Geo Sculptor Yip, and then it brings out another minion up to 10?
Yeah.
Well, you sound sarcastic, but that's kind of what I think they want us to do with recruit.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying like recruiting on top of recruiting on top of recruiting is probably really good, and that's why this had to be 8 mana instead of like 5 mana or something.
The only reason
its effect can be so insane that you probably you don't want to give it.
Yeah,
don't want to make it too cheap. Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I'm not just being like crap and move on is this is in Warrior. If any class is gonna make something this expensive, this late game work, it's going to be Warriors. So I'm very iffy on believing in this card, but there's hope. There's a ray of potential here. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't know if this recruit warrior is going to be better than just playing control warrior with some big bombs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Reckless Flurry is next. It's a 3-mana epic warrior spell. You get to spend all your armor, deal that much damage to all minions. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You spend your armor, though, which is a thing. You got to think about.
So you have to be careful. Yeah, because, I mean, like, you kind of want to play this, like, mid-gamey where you might be spending, like, 5 to 10 of your armor. Like, you don't want to necessarily even get this late game when you've got 20, 30 armor, because then you're, like, cutting your health in half.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more of a dead card the further you go along, but it's also, it's not like it's 8 mana. Like both legendaries.
Oh, yeah, no,
it's really efficient removal, but it's just like something. And also, you saw on the stream, they were playing against the Shaman deck. It was actually kind of hard for Warrior to have that. Like, people think Warrior's just always going to have 1,000,000 armor, and it's not always the case. Like, if you're behind on board and you're just taking damage from minions every turn, it's really hard to then suddenly build that armor up. Like, you need to draw into something like shield block or unidentified shield before you can actually do that. And then. So it's like I saw people go nuts over this card, and I'm like, it is good, but it isn't just.
It's not broken.
Like it's good. But it is good, for sure.
I'm with Ariok in the chat room though, who says it looks effective against Big Priest or Big Druid, and I would argue if it looks effective against recruit decks, if that takes off. Just in general, like
just big anything.
Yeah, if any of these decks get to cheat and get these giant minions on board, and they're smacking you in the face anyway, the armor's not worth that much. So it would be better.
No, it's true. Like the armor would be gone if you didn't kill the minions, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So would you rather lose your armor and have minions on board, or lose your armor and wipe the board? So
but basically, like the point that I'm making is that, like, you have to build armor to then be able to use this. So it's like got like a weakness there, and that it's not just a card you can just draw and it's like bang, I got an AoE. Like, you draw a brawl, it's like, okay, cool, I can just brawl. Like, I don't have to do anything else to brawl. This, I'm going to have to build armor some way before I can then use that armor. And then if I have 2 of these in my deck, the first time I do it, I use all my armor, and then I got to rebuild that armor back up to use the second one, right? So you're going to have to then build your deck to build armor, and that means cards that may not be doing other things you wanted cards to do. Like, so it's just, I think it's a really good card, and I saw a lot of people talking about like the end-all be-all of control warrior cards. And I'm like, no, it's just like a good card that does something really good that you'll need to do in the type of deck you're playing it in, but not like totally out of control card.
Fair enough. Bladed Gauntlets next. 2 mana, 0 attack, 2 durability, epic warrior weapon that reads, has attack equal to your armor, can't attack heroes for obvious reasons.
I kind of wish it could just attack heroes.
Right? Can you imagine? Bring it on, and then you swing for, what, 10?
Just bam for 10. Like, or double bring it on, bam.
Eat it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I get it. I get why it can't, but it'd be kind of fun if warriors could just turn their armor into face damage at some point.
What if they did something like, I don't know, attacks against heroes deal half damage or something like that?
There you go. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I know that originally they used to, like, I don't remember if it was Shield Slam specifically, but apparently there was some sort of armor-related card that could go face, like in Alpha, and they realized like pretty quickly that was silly.
Yeah.
They abandoned that idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this is super efficient. It's the thing is like a lot of people are saying, "Hey, Fire War Axe is back." And I'm like, no, because on turn 2 you have no armor.
On turn 2
you don't
just
have
did nothing.
3 armor.
Turn 2 you did absolutely nothing.
So whoops. Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to. This is kind of like a late game kill a big thing after you gain a whole bunch of armor with some of your other armor cards.
Yeah.
Not early game control the board type stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So cool card. Constructed playable? No.
No, I think it is. I think Control Warrior probably plays it.
If Control or maybe Armor Warrior, something maybe.
There's a few other interesting ways to build armor up now, like unidentified shield, dry whisker armor. We've got the 4/3 with the death rattle that nobody really played except for apparently Fibonacci, who actually got high legend with Control Warrior last expansion. But there's stuff out there to gain armor, so I think it will still. The fact that it can kill a couple of big things is pretty important.
Well, yeah, I mean, people used to play Gorehowl, right? And that was 7 attacks and then 6/5 all the way down. But I mean, I think if people used to play that, then there's no reason why they wouldn't play this.
Maybe I'm discrediting it too. Yeah, I mean, because it's at 2 mana, so later in the game when you build up armor, it's just a 2 mana weapon with a ton of attack.
It's easy to combo with armor gain, right?
Yeah.
You can play it with other stuff to get the armor if for some reason you don't already have it. So.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
I think it's fine.
Kobold Barbarians next. 3 mana, 4/4. It's a rare warrior minion that reads, at the start of your turn, attack a random enemy. And this was confirmed on stream that counts as this minion's attack.
Yeah, it's done attacking after that, and it happens before you do anything else. So
he's really mad that his candle got blown out.
Sure, he just can't help himself. He must attack something.
He has to attack. He just has to get that anger out.
It's kind of interesting. There's in Eternal, there's this thing called Reckless, which means you have to attack each turn, and obviously in Magic there's a similar type of thing. I kind of like it that there's something like that, even though you have to frame it a little differently. But the attack will go off, and then you'll have that information to then decide what to do with your turn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you see it in Constructed, but definitely I think I would pick this in Arena for a while and try it out, because a 3 mana 4/4 is pretty decent.
I think this is one of the cooler effects I've seen in this expansion. I don't think I'm going to run this card in Constructed like you said, Dills, but just in general, the idea of if we got more minions that were overstated, but you couldn't choose where they attack.
You couldn't control them.
Right. I don't know. I think it's cool. Yeah. It's here's just my toy soldiers. You wind them up, let them go. I hope the best for you. Godspeed. I think that's really neat. I mean, there's a lot of other card games that do that, especially card games with lanes where they just automatically attack what's across from them. But this is just
people are asking if it can go past taunt. I'm sure it can, because any random attack thing in the past has always just gone wherever. It can hit stealth minions, it can hit face, it can hit anything.
Yep, the good old ogre effects.
And because you're not actually making him attack, if he's frozen, does he still attack? Or if he's frozen, does he
I would guess no.
Attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool card. Gonna pick it in Arena. Moving on to Unidentified Shield, which looks like, I thought it was a pillow the first time I saw this.
It looks like a painting to me.
Okay, wrapped up painting. I can see that. I can totally see that. Anyway, this shield is unidentified. It's going to cost you 6 mana. It's a common warrior spell. In its base form, it just reads gain 5 armor, and of course, like all the other unidentified objects, it gains a bonus effect in your hand. Let's take a look at what the possibilities are. The Tower Shield +10, which is actually the name. That's awesome. Where you gain the 5 armor, but you gain 10 more armor, which just makes me laugh.
15 armor for 6. Pretty good.
Yes, very
especially
good.
If you're going for the whole armor deck, right?
Mm-hmm. There's the Serrated Shield, which is great. For 6 mana, you get 5 armor, but also get to deal 5 damage. There's the Rune Shield, where you, in addition to your 5 armor, you get to summon a 5/5 golem, and the Spike Shield, where in addition to your 5 armor, you equip a 5/2 weapon.
Damn.
So
Arcanite Reaper +5 armor.
Yeah, I think probably the worst, air quotes, is maybe the 5 armor, 5 damage variant, and that's still not bad.
No, yeah.
I think probably the
Not as-
10 armor, 5 armor is the worst. But
Yeah. Well, but
Yeah.
again, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you have a lot of the cards that take advantage of how much armor you have, then it's not bad, right? So
yeah, but like you don't need 15 armor for most of those things. Like that's kind of overkill on how much actual armor you need. I would much rather be able to kill a minion or
yeah,
summon a
let's
dude, or
summon
even
a
like
minion,
it
yeah.
says deal 5. You can go face with that 5 damage.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
I mean,
But I don't think that I don't think that these effects are as bad as like the paladin weapon.
Oh yeah,
No.
this is
Right?
far
Like,
and away
yeah,
better
this
than
is
that.
Way
It
better
is
than
still
the
a
other
6 mana card.
unidentified. Yes, that's true.
I think this is my favorite unidentified card so far. This is the one I most just unequivocally like. All options here are valuable. They are powerful. Yes, gaining 15 armor is the most passive. But again, you get to see it ahead of time. It's not like you spend the 6 and you're like, oh no, I got the 10 more armor. Damn.
That's true. Yeah.
So again, even if you don't want to do it, then it feels kind of a bit like a dead card. But man, the options they're just value across the board.
Yeah, this is a good card. I think you're right. I think this is probably there's only 3, right? There's
3. Yeah, the
yes.
Paladin and
the
Priest.
weapon and the
Yeah, Paladin, Priest, and now Warrior, and I think Warrior won the unidentified object race with flying
with you.
colors, in my opinion. All right, bringing it home. Final 2 cards. Gem-studded Golem. Look at this stud. It's a 6 mana, 5/9 common warrior minion with taunt, but it can only attack if you have 5 or more armor. So
Once you get a 5/9 taunter up in the way, it shouldn't be hard to get to 5 armor. So
Well,
And
and
if
even
it-
then, I mean, since it has taunt and 5 attack, like, do you even really need to attack with it?
no,
like,
I know it's
your
just a giant
opponent
wall.
Is
right?
probably
So,
going to have to attack into
So-
this with 2, 3, maybe even 4 things to get through it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of okay if
Uh,
you don't attack.
Why do you like this more than the Ironwood Golem, which you were not a fan of? Because that also has
just
taunt.
it's easier to gain armor and the attack is higher.
Well, yeah, the extra stat was basically 1 health over an existing taunt minion for 4. This is gaining a lot more health over the average 6 drop. Or just a lot more everything over the average 6 drop. So,
Fair response.
yeah. It's like that card just, if it was, because it's a 3/6, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That card was a 3/7 or a 4/6. Like, then I could see that making a lot more sense. Also, too, it's easier for a warrior to gain 5 armor than it is for a druid to gain 3 most of the time, unless you're playing specific cards. So,
Yeah. Cool. Final card, guys. Dry Whisker Armorer. I've never known Whiskers to be anything other than dry. It's a 2 mana, 2/2 common warrior minion that has a battle cry that reads, for each enemy minion, gain 2 armor.
so what was the card that was a 5 mana 4/4 that would gain health? You remember that? Based on how many minions there were?
Oh.
Repeat the name?
Nobody ever played it.
Yeah.
It was the apothecary, right? The something apothecary.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So this is just like infinitely better than that because you're not really paying that much of a price in stats. 2 mana 2/2, you're losing like 1 health or 1 attack.
Oh, the Cult
Unlicensed
Apothecary.
was the card, yeah.
Or unlicensed?
And you're gaining armor instead of health, which means you're not ever at the risk of like running into overhealing issues, right? You're
Yeah.
always going to gain that armor. So this is just like so much better than that card. I mean, obviously it's a class card, so it should be better than a neutral card. But yeah, and also in a class that now has a whole bunch of ways to utilize armor in really sweet, awesome, useful ways. Like, hell yeah, why not have another way to do that?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you can't play this if you're going to also be recruiting stuff. So this does not go in your recruit warrior deck because you never want to recruit a damn tutu. But if you're just playing like control warrior
No
that doesn't
recruiting
recruit, that
tutus.
just plays big minions, like
What
here's
do you have
another
against
like, super
ballerinas?
sweet live a long time tool, right? So
Are we done?
We're done.
Are we done?
We have
We did
officially
it.
talked about every card. We have talked about over almost 70 cards in one day because of how we recorded this. We should have brought beers, guys. We need to just crack one right now. Give each other a pat on the back. Cheers, everyone. I am winded. But I'm also very excited for Kobolds and Catacombs, man. When this reveal season started off, I was thinking this was the expansion I cared the least about. Just the first cards that they started off with did not really inspire a sense of urgency in me to play with this. I wanted the dungeon run, but those first cards just kind of looked, well, nonchalant, I guess, in a Hearthstone way.
It was such a small set, right? Like, they only gave us, 14 cards at BlizzCon? So, I mean, like, they really heavily leaned into Dungeon Run, which made everyone kind of assume, therefore, that the expansion wasn't going to be that interesting. But the thing I like about this expansion the most is it seems like there's a lot of really interesting themes, and they're fleshing out a lot of the other stuff that they've introduced to us during the Year of the Mammoth. So, they fleshed out elementals specifically is the thing that is kind of popping into my head. It seems like there's a lot more tools for Elemental Mage and Elemental Shaman. So I like that they're kind of rounding out the year. Even if you look at, Taunt and Warrior, as if Quest Warrior needed more taunts. But, it just seems like they're filling in a lot of gaps in a lot of ways with this final set, which I think is the way it should probably work. So yeah, I'm more excited for this than I thought I was going to be. But yeah, I think it's because of the way they did their reveal at BlizzCon that I wasn't excited about the expansion right off the bat.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I left BlizzCon like, yeah, I really want that dungeon mode. And, oh, right, there's cards attached to this because we barely saw any. Yeah, that's about I'm in as well. I'm now very excited for it. I'm the most unsure about it that I think I am of the 3 expansions this year. I mean, there's also there's always a large amount of uncertainty, and there's always stuff you're extremely wrong about when you're looking at card previews. But this is the one I think more than anything this year where I'm just coming at it as like, I don't know, might be good, except for Priest. It's like, yeah, that's good, that's broken. But everyone else, it's like so many things are so off the beaten path. I'm not sure, but I'm ready for Thursday. Bring it on. So
yeah.
I
think after seeing all the cards, I'm super excited about this set. And yeah, I was with you guys. It took me a while to warm up to it. But there is some stuff that we've never seen in Hearthstone before. And I feel like, the Knights of the Frozen Throne ended up being kind of a pleasant surprise after everyone was like so concerned about the Druid Plague at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And now it's become like actually a pretty close to the top expansion for me. And I think this one is actually now potentially going to be another one that's near the top for me. Like, it's like they are kind of getting better and better. So, and there's really interesting deck ideas that are all coming out of this. Like I don't even know where to start necessarily yet. And a lot of times I already had like these preconceived notions of what decks I was going to be building. Like here, it's like this, I feel like there's so much room to explore and experiment. And it's not obvious. It's not being like spoon fed to me. Like here, Beast Druid, it's not quite like that. It's like, here's some interesting tools. There's only a few of them. How do you make this work? Right. And that's kind of fun for me. I don't like being spoon-fed ideas. If there's anything that I dislike about this whole thing, it's stupid Dragon Slayer. Like, if we take that one card out of this, then I'm like, this is a pretty near perfect expansion so far. Like, without playing it. Like, just the way every card actually looks to me. So,
yeah, now
very excited for it.
And now you're making me think of the year as a whole. And, like, unless on Kobold and Catacombs release day, unless I log in on Thursday and Hearthstone personally insults my mother, I don't see this year not being the best year of Hearthstone in my mind, considering the expansions, the meta, everything.
Well, I mean, as of right now, once we get Year of the Unicorn next year, then my friend, that will be the real best year of Hearthstone.
All right.
I like your barrier of quality, Jocelyn. It's like, well, if they title it the Unicorn, they could poo out 3 mediocre expansions, and I will give the best year of Hearthstone. As long as it's all
part of a magical, sparkly Year of the Unicorn, I'm fine.
It's all right. Yeah, points for honesty. All right, well, before we wrap things up, let's thank our patrons supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. Guys, if you enjoyed this show, if you got something out of it, and you want to support the podcast, the Patreon is the best way to do so. On this episode, we want to thank Heather G., Steve B., Robert W., Scott A., and Greg W. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. And if you're out there and are wondering how you can help the show, patreon.com/TAC. best way to do it. Also want to thank our Patreon producers, Declan H., Michael N., Sean C., Johnny S., and LVE, all 5 producer slots locked up at the moment. Thank you so much for your generosity, everybody. As always, you can find the back catalog of TAC over at AMoveTV or youtube.com/AMoveTV. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and you can catch us typically live Tuesday nights at 3 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. That's right, we're sticking with 3 for at least now, and scheduling's going to get a bit weird around the holidays, but we'll be back next Tuesday at 3 p.m. We'll be right here. Dills, where can folks find you?
You can check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills, twitch.tv/Willie Dills. Like I said in the previous episode, the 12 Dills of Christmas is starting in about 5 days on the 10th, Sunday. So make sure to come check it out. It's going to start kind of late because I work that day, but hey, that's fine. Starts when it starts, you know? But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'll see everybody on the Twitch streams.
Nice, man. I'd like to stop by again.
Yes, you should. Both of you guys.
Be a good time. Jocelyn, how about yourself?
You can find me at Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joce Plays, and like I mentioned yesterday, air quotes, Dills and I are going to be doing some Warcraft PvP this coming Thursday, hopefully on an ongoing basis. Might not always be on Thursdays, but I'm really looking forward to getting into more Warcraft streaming. I stream Raid on Tuesday nights as it is, but we're going to do some PvP things and try to get our prestige on, because there's some really, really cool prestige rewards, including like almost all the unicorn mounts in World of Warcraft. So yeah, we need to get that prestige grind going.
Once I get my warrior leveled up, I may join you for that as well, as long as it's not arena. Arena scares me. I don't like it.
Oh, we're gonna arena. That's part of the plan.
Well, have fun.
I don't know. I want to get a ranking. I've been into PvP, but mostly in the Ashran kind of battlegrounds sort of way. I'm interested to try some arena and get that rating and improve. Hopefully, I have to go read a lot of guides between now and Thursday, because I think I might actually even PvP on my paladin, which will be 100% new for me, but I think will complement the hunter very well. So
sweet. Well, everyone should go check that out. I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art. Everybody, 2 R's, 2 T's in my name. In case you're trying to find me, amove.tv for all the other podcasts. Go check out Let's Talk About Star Wars, because Last Jedi is right around the corner, and we're putting out double episodes this month, and we also put out 2 episodes last month. So go check that out. I'll be back on Thursday for Into the Nexus. That's going to wrap it up for episode 240 of The Angry Chicken. 2 episodes in 2 days, all in 1 week. Damn. Enjoy Kobolds and Catacombs, everybody. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes! All right.
I am done talking.
For a second.